Somebody is ready to bring more romance to the table in this situation with the Ace of Cups. This could be somebody who has been trying to take almost like a logical or practical approach to this connection. Maybe it's early stages, or kind of their comfort zone is trying to control the outcome of things by using logic, or just kind of like sticking to the facts, sticking to the here and now. Something that has involved maybe like an extended talking stage, or something where the nature of your conversations has just been directed towards mundane things. This may even have to do with the fact that they've had a lot going on in like their personal life, or sort of busy with work, busy with other things, and so you've had very short interactions with one another where it's just kind of like catching up, sort of like, how was your day, what are you doing right now, and having a sort of disconnect from the communications pretty quickly. And so there's not been a whole lot of time for sort of lovey-dovey talk, or, talk about feelings, talk about emotions. There may have just been like little opportunities to pay compliments to you, or to receive kind of like those well wishes from you as well. And so this is somebody that recognizes that there's kind of been a plateau within the connection, as far as they are now having some emotional needs. They're feeling kind of needy towards you, sort of like, I want to say all the right things that are pushing the right buttons within you, so that you're kind of responding with things like, how sweet, or, that's so considerate of you, thanks for remembering, never thought you'd ask, things of that nature, where this person knows that it's now time to sort of build within those kind of feel-good feelings, or that they have kind of taken a satisfactory period of time in order to sort of ground into reality, maybe what was sparked between the two of you, or like earlier phases of your interactions with one another, where it's kind of like, okay, feelings started to surface, and so they needed to switch gears back into the comfort zone again of like practical things, more kind of like intellectual things, logical sort of things. And there's a part of them that knows, like, if there's going to be movement towards the future, if this is something where it's like you're going to still want to talk to them, if the interest is still going to be mutual between the two of you, or if you're going to see what happens next, then it's time to kind of have more emotional discussions. It's time to not sort of bottle up those feelings, but to unleash them in some sort of way, to very consciously and deliberately make a point to kind of bring those feeling conversations, or, those acts and gestures of romance, those little like considerate or thoughtful things, to bring that to the table in the circumstances at this particular point in time. This feels like somebody who's also considering or thinking about like a little gift, a little gesture, something very sweet, something that could even just be like, they send you like a song, for example, something very romantic. It's like thinking of you, and it's something where it's pretty clear that it's like, okay, that's a love song, great. That's their way of letting you know, like, they're in the heart space. They're in this feeling space as far as you are concerned. And so this is like a step in that direction. This can also be something where for somebody, it's like they want to show up with lunch, they want to show up with coffee, they want to show up with like flowers just because, something where it's almost like they want to give like a sweet little gesture of just like caring and concern, something that sort of like lets you know, like, hey, don't think that, just because our interactions have been brief, or we've just been talking about sports, talking about the weather, talking about current events, talking about like past experiences in both our lives, that I'm just wanting to get to know you as like a friend, or, I'm wanting to just kind of like have someone to sort of, discuss like surface level things within my life, but that I'm interested in building more affection between the two of us. That I want to make you understand, that I'm sweet on you for more than just kind of, somebody to fill like a space of boredom or loneliness in my life. Yeah, we also have the Queen of Swords. So this is somebody that has been like looking at your social media, looking at your pictures, looking back on other conversations that you've had, with the energy of sort of like nostalgia, but almost like appreciation. Like they like what the momentum that you have with one another so far. But this is something where with that little kind of like bird in the window in this card here, this is somebody that's like, yeah, I want to kind of change the course of our conversations. I want to surprise you. I want to kind of, come forth with something that is really going to capture your attention, that's really going to catch your eye, that's going to give you an understanding of like, okay, I'm giving you the signal that I'm ready to kind of move into that territory of opening up about my feelings, starting to do like more sweet and romantic things, not just wait for that special occasion, not just kind of like I pick you up for a date and I tell you that you look beautiful, and then we kind of like go about the business of whatever it is that we're doing, or again just kind of like chatting about surface level things. But this is something where this person wants to start to introduce almost like unexpected romantic gestures, things that kind of like show you a sweeter side, a softer side to this person, a more thoughtful side to this person. Some of these things may almost be very just kind of like cliche, very simple, very easy. It doesn't feel like anything that is like very complex or very thought out at this particular point in time, but it's just like these little sort of thinking of you, or this reminded me of you, or I thought you might like this, something like that, that just kind of lets you know like, hey, this is somebody that has like this emotional capacity. This could be somebody that's like they don't have an easy time talking about their emotions, or they've been sort of slow to open up, so that like, yeah, they do have feelings, and they have feelings for me. Yeah, this is somebody that I don't just have to kind of learn to live with that, or come to understand that as like a part of this person's personality, that they may be sort of emotionally reserved, or that we're just like not at that level with one another yet where they're expressing that, but that they're kind of anticipating that sort of curiosity or that need or that desire within you. And it's like, yeah, there's a heart beating beneath this kind of armored surface. There is a sensitive guy inside, beyond the stoicism, or beyond kind of like whatever sort of surface level pleasantries are exchanged between the two of you, or the nature of your interactions up to this point in time. That there's a deeper capacity for this person, a thoughtfulness as far as like you are concerned, something where it feels like the romantic gestures that they want to kind of bring in, they want to sort of introduce into the situation at this point, it reflects some sort of like deep appreciation that they have like developed for you over time. You've gotten through to this person, you've penetrated some degree of like armor, or some degree of like being very emotionally reserved, and there's a sense of wanting to step outside of their comfort zone in terms of like how that is expressed. I'm hearing like other couples do. So it's something where they're wanting to start kind of, maybe simply, maybe very small for them, but kind of like, okay, how do other couples express affection? Especially if you're not like officially a couple, this can be this person sort of hinting at like, that's the direction that I want to move towards, doing these things that like, boyfriends do for their girlfriends, or husbands do for their wives, or what I've kind of seen modeled in people around me, or I've seen it on TV, I've seen it on social media, I've looked it up, I read an article about it, and this is kind of the suggested sort of approach, or the suggested kind of like gesture, doing something like that, starting to bring things into your experience with one another in that way, so that like, yeah, there's more to this circumstance than just what you've experienced with them so far, or something that might have kind of caused this person to have to pull back from your interactions. Like they've been busy, they've been out of town, they've been traveling, work schedules may have changed, where there's like very little time for the two of you to interact as you have been normally. It's just been very brief texts back and forth, it's been short phone calls, it's been just kind of like fewer occasions where you're able to get together, something that like lets you are not out of sight, out of mind, but they're very much like thinking about you in their quiet moments, in their downtime. Yeah, we also have the Nine of Swords. So there's a sense that this person is almost anticipating that you might be feeling very neglected at this point in time, because they've maybe just been really like tired and they haven't had a whole lot of time to talk, or they've been kind of like, crisp on the phone, or it's been very brief. Something where they may have had to like cancel plans, cancel a date. If you got together regularly and, chatted or talked or something like that, there may have been where they couldn't do that because of other things that they've had going on, not other people, not other dates, not other kind of like my interest is elsewhere and I'm just brushing you off. But there's a sense of like this person wanting to make sure that you understand, like, I'm not trying to ghost you. I'm not just trying to slip out the back door. I'm not just like making up excuses or using these other things in my life as like an opportunity to kind of end the connection or the communication between the two of us because I don't have the courage to do it outright. And so there's something where they've reflected on kind of the nature of things that have changed up between the two of you, or even kind of the tone and the tempo and the pace that they have set so far. And there's a part of them that is kind of like, I need to give more, I need to open up more, so that you understand that even if it's like slow progress forward from this point, or there still is some degree of like, I can't show up every single day. I don't have like hours and hours to talk. Or it's just going to have to be kind of quick things, or instead of phone calls, we're just going to have text for a little bit. Something like that where there's like legitimate reasons behind it. Any kind of like change they've had in their life, anything kind of like new or more that they've taken onto their plate, having to show up for other people, or just anything that has created like alterations within their schedule that doesn't exactly align with kind of the pattern you've established with each other so far, what you have going on in your life. This person wants to let you know, like, it's not out of sight, out of mind. I want to move forward through this experience. I want to open up to you. I'm hoping that you'll be patient with me through this. And so rather than kind of just like sitting there and thinking, well, I hope that you're there, when things change for me, or when I get a little more free time, or, when I finish this project and I'm resuming my usual routine again and we can get back on track with one another, instead of kind of just leaving that as sort of like a wish upon a star and we'll see what happens when we get to that. This is something where this is somebody that wants to give you some sort of reassurances that, like, even in a period of absence, or more silence, or kind of just very short or very brief, very surface level interactions between the two of you, that there are feelings that have been stirred up, that they think very fondly of you, they think very highly of you. They want you to feel seen and appreciated. This is somebody who wishes that they could do more. And if this has to do with kind of somebody that's a little emotionally reserved, then there's a sense like, I know that this part of me is not necessarily something that you like, something that you want to experience. I know that it's difficult to deal with. It may be something that, like previous romantic connections, it's been a factor, it's been an issue. Like, this is not a mystery to this person of like, yeah, I know I have a hard time opening up about my feelings. I know I'm not the most romantic person. I know that I get kind of caught up or distracted, or I'm very ambitious, or I work a lot, or, I got a lot on my plate at this point in time, and it just doesn't leave a whole lot of room for like romance, or, showing up in kind of that softer energy, or like that lovey-dovey energy. I need you to know, like, I'm aware of that quality within myself, or in the nature of the life that I'm living, but I also don't want that to be something which is like a permanent boundary between the two of us. This is somebody that's trying to like work with that. They're trying to work with you. And rather than asking you to kind of just like hold on to that burden of patience, this is somebody that's kind of like, let me sort of come out of left field and surprise you with something that lets you know my intention is to move closer to you, or to open up to you emotionally, to bring something more to the table. And even if all they can do is just like, send you a love song at this point in time, at least that lets you know that it's like, hey, you have stirred something within my heart. This is more than just something where I talk to you because I'm bored. This is more than just kind of like we've gotten in a routine with one another. Now we're in a rut. Now I'm looking for, any excuse to kind of like run for the hills. This is something where this person wants to provide you with some kind of a reassurance that, like, you haven't held space for them for as long as you have for no reason, that your instinct to invest in this, to trust in this, to get to know this person and to let them get to know you, that this is something that is going to pay off well. It's, this person doesn't want to just end up as a lesson for you, or have this be like a missed opportunity. Yeah, we also have the Tower. So it feels like, again, this person is going through some like legitimate transitional period in their life. There may be like big goals that they are working towards, big dreams, things that, they haven't necessarily even like opened up to you about, or you don't know like the toll that whatever it is that they're going through is really taking on them. To where it's almost something where it's like, I don't just want to bring you my chaos, I want to show up for you when my life is more put together. I'm hoping that you will walk with me or work with me through this process of moving through like personal difficulties, personal stress, or even just stress that is sort of put upon this connection at this point in time based on ways in which they've kind of just been skimming the surface with you or just haven't had a whole lot of time to spend with you. And so kind of like limited conversations, limited interactions, the first thing they're going to jump into is not like romance. It may just, again, be like, how have you been? What's been going on? This is what's been going on in my day. If this person has been like opening up to you or venting to you about a lot of things as well, they also don't want you to feel like I'm just coming to you as a shoulder to cry on. I don't want you to think that you have to just be the only one that holds space for me to kind of, unpack whatever I got going on in my reality. But, if that is the nature of where our conversations turn, then I want to do something in order to kind of build a more proper foundation with you or point out that foundation that I recognize between the two of us in terms of these shows of affection, these displays of romance, something where I'm opening up more emotionally in kind of a traditional way, because it feels like that's something that will be very clear, very unmistakable. Like I send you a love song, I bring you a box of chocolates, I write a little love note and, put it on the windshield of your car. You're not going to be wondering, I wonder what they meant by that. I wonder if I'm reading too much into that. I wonder if this is just my imagination running wild. No, this is somebody that wants to be very clear and direct with something that really gets to the heart of the matter, so that this waiting hasn't been in vain, so that that even though they may be only able to kind of show up in a limited way at this point, they are hoping that what you have so far or what you can build with one another has the stamina or staying power to see through this kind of like transitional period. Because on the other side of something that's going on, something they've been dealing with long term, or something that has even come up very suddenly and it's kind of shaken their world upside down, it's kind of like, this was unexpected. This is sort of a wrench in the plans. I'm able to course correct it. I just need you to be patient with me. And I also want you to know that that investment of trust and patience is not going to be wasted, that I don't want this to just be a wasted opportunity between the two of us, but even in the midst of kind of the busyness of whatever I have going on, or, the different kind of things that are sort of taking their attention or draining their energy, maybe just making them very exhausted. They may be working like double shifts, they're working overtime, they're working at a regular job and trying to bring some sort of passion project up and get that running, something where it's like there may just not be a lot of time in the day for them to do more than just have like brief interactions with you. In the midst of all of that, there's a sense of like wanting to show gratitude, like, thanks for holding it down with me or for me through this period of time where the moving parts in my life are being rearranged, or I'm having to rearrange those things so I can come into more of a space of alignment with the life I've been trying to build, or something that creates more stability. Or this might have even been upheavals that were very unexpected, where it's like, I just need to get my bearings, I need to find my footing, I need to get through this period of turbulence. But even though my focus is a lot on me, I need you to know, like, I'm still sweet on you. I still got affection for you. You still capture my heart. This may be something as well that this person wants to express a bit of gratitude for the fact that you do represent kind of like an oasis for them. It's a wonderful thing to be able to connect with you in the midst of the nature of whatever else or the other kinds of people they're having to deal with. Whatever else they have on their plate, they get to look forward to those interactions with you. They get to look forward to, even if it's like, all I can do is see what you post on social media. All I can do is look at your profile. All I can do is look at the text messages back and forth. All I can do is sort of sit there and, dream of you because I'm exhausted at the end of the day, or, our schedules didn't align and we didn't get our phone call for the night, or, it's been a couple days since we spoke. Like, despite all of that, there's something where this person keeps coming back to you as a very reassuring presence in their life, somebody they want to build with in the future. And so in order to do that, this is something where it's kind of like, let me give you some sort of a little bit of a reassurance right now that, there is something emotionally happening within me. I'm very much drawn to you. I'm trying to navigate towards you. I'm trying to get through this period of time, or even kind of just get out of my own way and open up. Let my guard down, trust in what it is that I'm feeling, and take more conscientious steps towards you. So something that is like a small but significant step in the direction of like a sweet gesture, something that they say, something that they do that is kind of like, wow, okay, this is somebody that has romance on the brain, and it might not be, fully formed at this point in time. It might not be something where they're ready for that big conversation, like, let's move in with one another, let's get married, let's become an exclusive couple, I want you to come home and meet my parents. Like, they might not be at that place yet, but there's something where it's kind of like you've stirred something significant within me. And so I want to show that appreciation and gratitude for you. I want to let you know that you bring me back to the center inside of myself when everything else is very chaotic in my world. That you are someone that I don't just kind of enjoy our conversations or the time we spend together. I don't just find you physically pleasing, but you have really satisfied something emotionally in me, or there's this urge to kind of give you certain emotional reassurances so that you know that kind of sticking with me through this period of time, being patient, working with me as I, kind of build my confidence to open up more to you, or get through whatever it is that's happening in my life that's keeping me at a distance, keeping me distracted, keeping me in a place where all I really have the capacity for, is to talk about surface level things, sticking with me through this process, that it won't be a bad investment, but it'll be something instead that will pay off, because there's a lot of feelings that I have inside, and I'm waiting for kind of the time that feels right, or, the time when I have time to express those to you and for us to explore those fully. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Like or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more content that I put out here. Don't forget to hit the bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. And if you would like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.